Thank you, Mr. Tumpo, for that prayer. Now we welcome Mr. Danny P. Arden for the welcome remarks.
Danny P. Arden, successful finance manager. I want to say to the Honorable Mr. Archie Sannor, all those who are here, ladies and gentlemen, you are highly welcome. Thank you for leaving a busy schedule for you to make it here. To the successful newspaper, news magazine, till is where success begins and success ends. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we will be honoring our dear brother and activist, Mr. Archie Sannor. And excuse me. Events on the agenda include opening prayer, which we are finished with, welcoming remarks. We have brief history of the Success Forum by Mr. Arvin KTC Clark. We have about the awardee, State of the Liberian Advocacy, presentation of awards, remarks from honoree, remarks from courtier, remarks from guests, food of thanks, closing remarks, and benediction. This program has been put together by the Success Forum magazine to honor Mr. Archie Sannor for his distinct advocacy for the Liberian masses. Thank you and enjoy yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, my name is Arvin KTC Clark, founder and publisher of the Success Forum magazine. Success Forum magazine started in the Arab Republic of Egypt. It wasn't then a magazine. It was a forum that, by the grace of God, was inspired through me to inspire young people, especially Black Africans, in the Arab Republic of Egypt. I saw that there were many young Black Africans who were leading failing lifestyle. Some or most of whom were sportsmen. Some were soccer players, some were track athletes, but it came a time that their career turned upside down. So I saw them languishing in the principal streets of the Arab Republic, in Cairo, some were in Alexandria, some were in Damahud, but yeah, they were all around searching for a lifeline or a means of resuscitating their career. So I put together a Success Forum, trying to tell these guys, these young men and women, that other than your primary career, there's always something else that you can do at best. Other than having gone to school and then studying something, there's always another thing that can work for you if the primary one doesn't work. So I gathered a group of 25 persons that eventually went up to 500 persons. By the grace of God, we had a very massive success in Egypt, backed by then the Liberian ambassador to the Arab Republic of Egypt, residential Egypt, non-residential, Syria, and Jordan, Conan Blackett. He backed the program very well. We want to say, if anybody from the family of Kabin and Janet, I want to say Mr. Khalidou Janet played a huge part in the formation of Success Forum when he was a consul general in Cairo. Later, we went to the Arab Republic of Jordan, the Royal Hishma Kingdom of Jordan, where we started again having need of Success Forum. But this time around, we had to engage another population, a very new one. Those refugees from Iraq, from Palestine, from Lebanon, and from Syria. I was fortunate to have been in the Palm Spring Hotel there in Jordan. So every time I would have this forum in the lobby, again, by the grace of God, we had unprecedented success, having known the facts that unfold in Arab countries. We had a very successful time in Jordan. By the grace of God, again, we moved over to Turkey. We had a massive success again in Turkey, and then we moved over to Cyprus, where every Saturday we would gather more than 500 persons to talk to on what success is and what failure is. and how to be successful. This is one thing, as I come to close of Success Forum history, that I got to understand. Success, as I define it from my past experiences, I was of the tender age when I left the country to further my career as a soccer player. I got to know that being a successful person was different from being a successful career person. You can be successful in your career, but personally in your life, you might not be successful. And that success is not the abundance of money, not the abundance of material things, but the inner peace you have within yourself. That's how I define success. And success is an opportunity to always do better by the day, by employing more commitment and more dedication. And that failure is a brand new opportunity to do it better and to get it right next time by doing it the same old way, but with more determination, or by doing it a more different way. We came back to Liberia shortly, and then we started to teach at, we started to lecture at various universities and churches, at various community forums, telling young people how to succeed, the mindset of success, why you won't succeed and why you will succeed. We were given the platform by Sis Mary Lauren Brown at the Stella Maris Polytechnic, where we had a very good success as well. And then we were invited by the Bombing Community College, where we had a motivational forum periodically. Success Forum was scouted by Mr. Carton Bois of the Improv Daily newspaper. He called me to be a columnist in the paper. I relished the opportunity and I took it. It didn't take 2 months, I was already an outstanding columnist. And let me tell you again, my journalism career started just last year. In 4 months' time, my colleague is here, Abraham is here. I was promoted as one of the senior journalists in the Improv Daily newspaper, having had my background of such. 4 months. In 5 months' time, I was called to succeed somebody as sub-editor. Can you imagine? In 6, 7 months' time, I received a call. I was cited by the publisher of the Improv Daily newspaper that on mail said my column was the second most read column for them. The Success Forum, which is still online at the Improv, on the Improv website. In the 8th month to the 9th month, Success Forum became a newspaper. From January as a columnist to October being a publisher. Success Forum has determined and is very poised to search out, to make a difference in the Liberian print media. Success Forum is an investigative and research paper taking out the debris where the traditional print media left them, and then creating a new niche in the media in Liberia. We're into various high schools right now, we're into universities, and we are giving the paper back to the community. We having each community to have a column in the paper, each intellectual forum like the CO, like the CMP to have a column in the paper, because our intent is to give the paper to the community, because we believe that Alvin Clark will go, Celeste King will go, and every other person at the Success Forum might leave, but the Liberian people remain, the community remains. And so giving the paper back to the community means that the sustainability of the paper is assured by the grace of God above. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a brief history. I don't know whether it was brief, but this is the history of Success Forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this unique opportunity. And thank you to all of you who have made it your duty to come here to observe this wonderful day. Our honoree is no one's ever Mr. Archie Sannor, a Liberian, and he was born on November 29, 1973. matriculated at the William V. Totman High School, and left from 10th grade to 11th grade, and subsequently matriculated at the St. Mary's School and graduated in 1998 with a diploma and a successful pass in the West African Examination Council. Mr. Archie Sannor has a lot of working experience, and he has been in this advocacy for a very long period of time, even during the heated times of our country's history, where we considered at that time as the brutal and tyrannic regime. Mr. Archie Sannor works in 2003 at the International Supply and Trading Company in Douala, Bourgeois Island, a private-owned company, where he served up to 2004, 5, 6, and went into the private sector, where he do a private business up to 2013. He decided to go back into advocacy, looking at the trends of our democracy and looking at how our country is moving and providing the rightful direction in advocacy. Subsequently, he became the chairman of the Coalition for the Transformation of Liberia, that have contributed a lot in for the quest of social freedom and academic justice in this country. We can be recorded from the national and political level. Mr. Archie Sannor has been very vocal in these various areas. And presently, he is a civil society activist and a businessman who works in a business private sector. So, for a brief history of Mr. Archie Sannor, we want to say thank you very much, Mr. Archie Sannor, and congratulations on your success.
Organizers of this program, our distinguished honoree, Mr. Archie Sannor, other guests here present, our colleagues from the 4th Estate, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I have a singular honor to basically project the historic city in the historical context of advocacy within 21st century Liberia. We have had a very rocky and turbulent moving forward as far back as 1847. Thank God today we have had significant progress, especially within the practice of advocacy. But if you try to compare the leverage that has been enjoyed today in relation to our practice and the one we have had over the years, it clearly tells you that advocacy was at an extent and being pushed at the extreme of historical relevance. But as stated previously, thank God today we have had progress. And not only progress, but significant progress. And that has been complemented by the level of free speech that we have in our society today. So again, I'd like to ask basically the Honorable Mr. Archie Sannor, in our Liberian way of the dialectics that has been used here, they say unbending, unwavering. We ask you to remain committed to the process of speaking for the voiceless and try to remain resilient in the case of the people. Thank you ever so much.
Shows a landmark achievement in the History of Success Forum and in our drive to search out those who have meaningfully contributed to the peace we've had, the sustainability thereof, and the development of it as well. We launched an opinion poll of various significant sector of our country last year. And this is one of the categories that caught our attention, the area of civil activism. The opinion poll lasted over 5 months to today. And just last week, it was so fiercely contested that just last week we got to know that Mr. Archie Sannor had the highest vote. We had big names in the race. And we went from corner to corner as far as we could go in Liberia, searching out names, presenting names to people who have dedicated their lives to the cause of the masses. We had another notable name with Archie Sannor. And it went for about 3 weeks. Fortunately for our country, blessedly for Mr. Archie Sannor, his work has been distinct. Like every other activist that we have in our scene today. But it's a saying that when two persons go for a game, the end result, especially if it's a final, one person wins. And that's the reason why we have penalties introduced by, I'm a little bit biased from the football end. In football, we have penalties to decide the winner. But I'm very, very pleased. I'm proud of the work that Archie Sannor has done. If we consider what we could be giving back, it wouldn't have been Archie Sannor. In terms of finance, or in terms of some payback, it wouldn't have been Archie Sannor. We had notable names in the race. But we had to listen to the will and pleasure of the Liberian people, of our respondents. Today, we are very pleased to have obeyed our consciences, to have had Mr. Archie Sannor being awarded the honor of civil activism. Mr. Archie Sannor, you are welcome. This significant day in the history of Liberia, that the will and pleasure of the people is respected, and that the development of our country can rely on the shoulders of persons like Archie Sannor, who will, without bending, propagate the right words in the interest of national peace and national development and national unity. Today, Mr. Archie Sannor, we say the will and pleasure of the people go to you. Thank you very much.
Success Forum magazine, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. You know, we have a parable that good name is better than bad wealth. We have chosen to serve the people of Liberia. It's not for wealth, it is for humanity. I could remember 1999 when I was arrested by SOD for speaking against the Taylor regime. When SOD brutalized young people for selling for their own survivability. That I said that police should not be brutal, should be friends of the people. If someone is even said in the street, you can arrest them and ask them to pay a fine, but not to brutalize them. They got agitated and are arrested, placed behind bars. And later, I was released, but I was not deterred. I could recall when I entered the university, 2002, when Taylor SOD and ATU entered the universities. When they entered, the first thing we did is to take the sheet, the photocopiers, and wasted it on them that you need to go back to school. It doesn't mean that we hate them, but it tells you that the level of leadership is not good for this country. We need total transformation. And on the basis of that, some of us left. After Madam Seri administration 2003, we went back to the university and we graduated 2010. The whole of 2006 up to 2010, we gave that leverage to the government headed by President Salif with the hope and anticipation that she would perform. She had been an advocate in the past. And if you can preach against those vices that led us to crisis, if you are being given the leverage to serve the people, you should be able to practice what you spoke of in the past. After 2011, 12, this organization was funded February 5th, 2013, when our friend and brother Vanessa Patrick was arrested. That we cannot sit here. In fact, other people said that he was kidnapped. That those things, vices that led to 1980 coup, as well as December 24th, 1989, to allow it to perpetuate. That's how we put ourselves back. We left our comfort zone, left our luxuries, and decided to take this challenge for the interest of our country and people. We were not created by God to be bought or to be sold. We were created by God to serve God, to speak against ill in society, to be able to distinguish between bad and good. And to be able to, if we are being given the opportunity to serve in line with moral and ethic. But this leadership is no longer serving in line with moral and ethic. The government has not been run in line with international best practice. Corruption is gargantuan. Nepotism is high, cronyism, justice has been compromised. And the ultimate catastrophic and oppression cruelty is not only of the bad people, but also the silent of the good people. This is why we have decided not to be silent, because we don't want for posterity to judge us. If we remain committed in the struggle and sincere, history will vindicate us tomorrow. And that is why some of us, we decided to go this path. Let me extend thanks and appreciation to all of my members of the Coalition for the Transformation of Liberia for paying a price and promise to good citizenship, for being nationalistic and patriotic. Quite recent, I spoke with the Interfaith Religious Council member, I respect to the Grand Gideon. And I was clear with them. When we started the April 12, these were the people that intervened. The April 12 gained a lot of support. Let me also extend thanks and appreciation to the people of Liberia. Those who know wrong from good. On serious occasion, when people criticize the government and try to pull young people together to erect checkpoints, to demand the government to do the right thing, you people will come in. I believe that you people only try to protect the presidency, but not the entire nation. Then they asked me why. I explained. Told me that we need to meet and discuss. The Grand Gideon been in jail for the past 1 year, 6 months. What are we doing? These people, government said that they were people of interest. And they reported themselves. Nobody caught them at the battlefront. But we realized that the Interfaith Religious Council, the Traditional Council, clergy people, permanent people in society have now gone to this leadership to say that for the sake of reconciliation, you don't have prima facie. If you do have, then let us be able to fast track the case. Up to present, they are in jail. When it comes to the issue of those who interposition, you talk about reconciliation. When you come to the common man, you say, let the law take a course. That's not being a sense of practicing justice. None that the Egyptian wanted to change leader twice. But they have no choice to have done that in order to set precedent for future leader. You think they're happy when Umbara left, Muzik came to power, after 1 year, they took him for power? They were not happy with it. But they have no choice. It tells you that when you put your people against the wall, sometimes they bounce back. So that will serve as deterrent for future leader. That nobody will be elected in Egypt to have his or her will. Government should be the will of the people, not the will of the president or the legislature or that of the judiciary. And when people fail to realize these things and renege on them, and when the situation explodes, nobody thinks that when situation explodes, you will not be affected. Because when it explodes, the judiciary will be dissolved, the legislature will be dissolved, and the executive will be dissolved. Then the people will determine their own destiny. Then those that you used to call your subordinate will definitely be your boss, and you will turn the subordinate. Then maybe at the end you will say, oh my son, I beg, it's too late for you. And we don't want that to happen in this country. We have seen a lot of things. Some of us, despite we were at the age of 16, 17, 19, 90, but we saw a lot of things. And if we can preach against those vices that led us to crisis, and we try to practice that, nobody should tell you that history will not repeat itself. Why it is true that people repeat history, but when people repeat history, people consider as history has repeated itself. And we don't want for history to repeat itself in that sense and manner. So we ask our government to change their attitude and behavior for the common good of our country. Not that we hate these people, but we love Liberia more. And I think it is time that we will submerge our differences and realize that we all fix the same problem. The problem that are going to catch hell, the problem that are going to carry the country backward. Whether you are Muslim or Christian, whether you live in Bokonjilen, Nikutan, West Point, we have to be united. To have a common front. Because our people are being oppressed, suppressed. We have been exploited for too long. Not that we are anti-government or anti-first family, but we are anti-oppression, anti-suppression, anti-exploitation. And if you don't want us to if you don't want for us to you, then start disrespecting our people. Then stop exploiting us. Then stop the segregation. Be able to exercise a high level of justice. We believe that as long justice has not been done to others, will never be done to us. Many of our friends have been arrested because they air their view, because they speak against ill in society. Why it is true that other posts say that it went through the court proceeding, but we strongly believe that the executive has manipulated the entire system, the two branches of government. You go to the court, the system has been manipulated. The legislature has been highly manipulated. 68 concessions signed, no one in a right mind will sign 68 concessions, all part of the world, only 2 in the interest of the country. 66 are not good for a country. Then what was the need for her to kill late President Tolbo? What was the reason for which for her to bring war and assassinate President Samuel Kanyando? The reason for which we fought war or assassinated President Tolbo still exists. Then someone tells you that their present regime should not bear the consequence of bad leadership. If other leaders bear the consequence of past or bad leadership, then why should we not allow the present regime to bear the consequence of the same bad regime, of the same bad leadership, I mean? Oh, when it comes to the other people, say, they have to go. But when it comes to you, we say we don't want war, peace. But what are those fighters that lead to peace? Corruption has the ability to create instability. If we said that past leaders were highly nepotistic, we mount pressure on them that led to their assassination, then in our administration or regime, we say corruption is good. Why it is true that it cannot eradicate corruption, but you should be able to diminish it. People should see sincerity in our leadership that will fight it. That's all we want. We don't want you to give up food or put food on our table. We are not asking for job. We are asking for transparency. Is it too big for you to be able to give us transparency? It's not too big. Our people are suffering. Our people's rights are being abused. Few group of people have monopolized the system. And government should not run on the basis of friendship. Our country should not be a sole proprietorship. The essence of democracy is for people to pursue happiness. People went to the pool and cast their battle to be better off, not to be bad off. If even they are to be bad off, but the fact of the matter, if they can see their government working in the interest of the country, high level of transparency, diminish nepotism. If the man feels hungry a day, he says, yes, I have hope because I can see a better future. Our people lose hope. And when my brother called me that he has a letter for me, when I read a letter, the first question I asked him, how did you carry on the vetting? Sincerely speaking, you can ask him. How did you carry on the vetting? And he said that this was done more than 6 months ago. We have lawyers, accountants, economists, ministers, directors, and you came in the picture. Now we still have some good institutions, because many of the institutions gave award to people on the basis of cash. Many of them. And I couldn't believe it. But this will serve as motivational fighters to me and my organization to do more. Let me say thanks to them again, because I couldn't believe it that I can have a such an organization in this country who gave you a award in the absence of cash. I still doubt it. You see, during the April 12th, we met a lot of stakeholders. And we were invited at Royal Hotel. And somebody came out that, my children, you put anything on the table to cover the protest. The first thing I laughed. It's difficult to believe. Some people will believe it or not. But the records are there. Even those who have positions and met us, they will say, yes, we are in government. That's why we don't want to be exposed. But we know the type of person they are. And that is why when we speak, the people listen. Put anything on the table. I said, look, if I take money from you, or if we take money from you, and even call it a protest, are you going to respect me? President Sadi is going to respect me? He said, no. He said, not everybody can serve the integrity. If we are to cut off this protest, it should not be on the basis of cash. It should be on the basis of our conviction with a bargaining on the recommendation that the government will be able to address. If I take money from you, you will never address any of those recommendations. And if anyone tells you that Rawat Sadi resigned of his own conviction, tell them that is false. That's what part of the bargaining. And they said that he will resign, but you have to give a little time so that it cannot be seen as weakness on the part of the government. It's not that we want to tear our country apart. Our fight, we are not fighting for us to be better, but we are fighting in order to be better off. And if you see the oil sector now talking about reform, these were the things that we put on paper. And that is why some of us have some reservation when the president brought our grandnephew to serve as consultant or panelist to speak to the, or to tutor the speaker, the vice president. I felt disappointed. We did not go to a school to learn about oil to be able to make such a recommendation. Why any of our members who have Bamba, who have Mama Sikaba, and the rest of the young people like Abu Bakr Ba, Abu Bakr Kone, they could have provided a better explanation to the people of Liberia without noise than bringing a 17-year-old boy who stood in a platform to tutor Joseph Boakai and the speaker Eric Starter. And I sat down and listened to the vice president. And let me say the vice president, information minister. Why it is true that they were appointed to hypnotize the president, but they should be able to advise the president that some of these things will not be favorable to our society. Telling us that no 17-year-old child can be able to provide information with respect to that sector or to stand in the public to articulate, I disagree with him. They got some smart young children. It cannot be foreigner to be able to provide information when we have young Liberians who have done that. Who are you trying to motivate? If you bring young Liberian to express himself in such a public gathering, will give some motivation to other young people who want to inspire in the future. And I think our government is making a greater mistake. We have to speak truth to power. Let me extend thanks to our brothers, the journalists. They have always been in a position for our voices to be heard. Let me commend them. Some of them are critical. Some of them are very much objective. I have dealt with many of them. Sometimes some of them call me, we want story for you. Say, why me? Say, because you are critical on the issues. And all of us cannot be singing to the same tune because we want to fit our pocket. I prefer today I die and God save me in heaven to get all of the wealth, and tomorrow I answer question when you were elected in such a position, what did you do? And all of the leaders, whether past or present, will be judged on the basis of what they have done for the people. Nobody will go with impunity. And we will be very much vigilant. We will be strong. This is just the beginning. We will not allow ourselves to be vulnerable to those who try to deplete our coffer, to twist our arm for selfish interests. I think what every Liberian can do is to do more for Liberia than Liberia doing for you. We are in the struggle. The only good thing we can get from this is stress, tension. Nothing good we can get. We don't have to pay. We use our own resources to pay office fees. Buy stationery. When we have resources that belong to the country, intended to develop the country, while other people take it and packet it and pay for their mortgages abroad, while we are fighting to take our resources to transform Liberia. If we continue the path, the way in which the government is serving, everyone will wish to be president for only his or her personal aggrandizement. We need to put system into place, check and balance, where the system will be transparent. What kind of a legacy or good example we can learn from our leader when they lack of moral, no sincerity? Then when you come to some of these issues, someone say, we don't want war. The people are preaching hate messages, but they fail to realize that they are the architect of crisis. Because what are you going to do? That's what's going to follow you. If you serve in the best interest of the people, nobody will carry on hate messages the citizens follow. But when the citizens are aware that what you are doing, they don't like it, but they are only looking for a leader. When they get that leader, I don't care what you say. I don't care what number of machine gun you can buy. I don't care how much amount of money you can induce people. will never save you. We are only seeing all of these things because we want for the leadership to perform in the best interest of the country. Because if we continue, for some of us, I don't see a brighter future. For now to 2015, we have a record for the past 20, 30 years for President now making quite 10 years into power. Because the reason is just simple. People get agitated the way in which you do things. The country does not belong to a person. It belongs to the people. And the people can unseat you anytime they wish. That's why even the Constitution said that if a president receives a bribe, he or she stands to be impeached. So it baffles me when I see people talking about this leader should end his or her tenure. If you don't perform, you will not end the tenure. I don't care how much money you have stolen from us. It will not save you. So to cut long matter short, in our Liberian parents, is to tell all of you people thank you who devoted their time to be here today. Success Magazine, you are making a mark. Those who don't believe some of us personally, go check our background at the age of 10 or up to present. We have no deviant record. I am proud of you people to have been certificated today. It tells you that your institution is highly transparent. And if even Liberian people don't know this institution, they should be able to know this institution today. You have made our organization happy, the people of Liberia. And I hope and pray that you maintain your reputation. I still doubt that, as I said, to have institutions carry on vetting free of money. Because in our society, as soon as you tell somebody hello, they say, what you get for me? I think we should also discourage that. We should be able to inculcate a system that will be highly transparent. And that's what some of us believe in. It's not everybody can go for the money. We could have taken 300 and some more thousand and compromise our integrity, take the job, scholarship, and leave our people in limbo. But history will judge you and myself tomorrow. And I think there is a higher code than the code of justice, and our code is a code of conscience. God is the only judge of that code. God bless all of you. God save our country and make our leader to change their attitude to good so we can have a better future. Thank you.